prove ourselves because the chief gave us 3 months. Said, all right, we're going to rock the political boat. I'm going to take the political heat. You're going to handpick the right guys, and you're going to have 3 months.
How do you camouflage Mary Jane?
You know what? I'll tell you some really crazy.
Please.
Yeah. Here's
I don't know about this.
So I'll get back to that 04 story. Hold that pause.
Yep.
We'll hold that thought. But let's fast forward to a couple years later. Those sheriff's deputies that were in that first gunfight with us, they had never worked with game wardens before. And they're like, wow, these game wardens, man, I'll take these game wardens. I'll take John and his boys over, deputies that I don't even want to work with up here. And no diss on them, but because they're just comfortable in the woods. They love this shit. They're quiet.
It's goddamn country killers.
They're country killers. They're almost, they're just quiet. They hold up. They're in the woods all the time. And we would find a grow site in a place called Foothill Park that was in Palo Alto.
In Palo Alto.
And for many of our listeners and viewers, Palo Alto is the home of what university that's worldwide known? Stanford.
Yeah.
Okay, so Stanford University, go up in the Western foothills, and I shot at Stanford University in the Silicon Valley.
Oh, I thought you were going to say this was like a Stanford cartel experiment.
No.
You're really worrying
me. It was close. That wasn't happening to the best of my knowledge. But...
Imagine Huberman up there like, yeah, so Miguelito's teaching me all about the fucking...
Those guys are hard up for tuition, man. I know those Ivy League schools are pricey, but man, now you're up in Foothill Park moonlighting.
Yeah, but this is in Palo Alto, literally. Like in the confines of it, you're saying.
Well, it's in the Palo Alto proper. It's out of Palo Alto, go up into, Foothill Park, which is a city park up there. And 32,000 plant grow. 32,000 plant grow.
How many miles was that? Like 3?
It covered. It was less than that from a square mile coverage, but it was about a square mile,
That's
give or
huge.
take. It was huge, and the crazy part about it was it had all these paved and dirt hiking trails that everybody, Palo Alto residents, kids, moms afterwards with their strollers would hike, and guys would mountain bike, the whole nine. And that one had been in play at least 4 or 5 years, and we didn't find it. A park ranger hadn't found it. And this is so close to the city. This is how clever, and how much work these cartel guys will put into the field craft to disguise this multi-million-dollar operation.
They do have a great work ethic. I got to give them
they
that.
do. We've had water pipes 3 miles long. Gravity fed through Poison Oak underground. They have to run all that pipe, and they have a gravity fed. They irrigate like nobody's business. The best. I have nothing but respect for that work ethic.
Yeah,
in different
a lot of discipline in the cartel.
Yeah, in different areas. In another activity, but they actually had hinges and pulleys on the Manzanita that would stay over the marijuana. Right. So if we flew it from the air, it was just Manzanita patches and oak forest. And then at certain hours, they would pull back the hinges, right, on these pulleys and open up the canopy so sunlight could get 2-3 good hours and then close them back up.
Guys, if you're still watching this video and you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, please take 2 seconds and go hit it right now. Thank you.
So when we were flying at certain times of the day, and we had great spotters in the sheriff's office. An old retired captain, I won't say his name, but I called him Eagle Eyes. He would be our guy. Get in the chopper. You're on an overflight today. I may or may not go. I can find it pretty well. You're Eagle Eyes. We knew something weird was going up there because there was weird traffic. There were weird reports of things smelling funny. Maybe people were smelling cooking stoves going off in this grow. Maybe they even were smelling, cannabis during harvest time when it gets that good pungent scent. And we weren't finding it from the air. And finally, we just started using our noses to smell it and get up there. And we finally found this thing when we raided it. And some of the pictures are in this book. They had lean-to cabins built into the side of a hill that was covered with leaf litter that I literally walked on a trail and thought I was walking by just a grass hillside. And it had like hog chicken wire in it. And I opened up a door.
Oh my God.
And I walked in, and there's pictures in here that show 2 bunks, a kitchen cook that looked like a tunnel camp in like Vietnam. Whoa. And I can't tell you, we walked right by it. How many other hikers walked right by that thing or stumbled if they got that far into the grow complex? It was crazy. So I went, okay, That's how they're getting away with it. Now we got to look for that type of problem, and we got to, satellite imagery was just starting, Google Earth and stuff. We didn't have any of that in the early days.
This is like 06?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is very impressive that they had this whole thing that would go over it, where you said it was basically like other shrubbery and other plants that look normal.
Create a mobile canopy.
Now that's amazing.
Yeah.
Good work, Cartel. But, you still said that every day they'd have 2-3 hours where they had to have it open for sunlight. And I'm almost surprised it took so long to find it. If you just do a flyover every day, aren't you going to get it at some point? Like, that looks a little different today.
You would, but again, it comes down to resources and time. Those birds, $1,000 an hour to run one of our airships.
And you didn't have drones back then?
No, drones weren't a thing yet.
Yeah.
Drones weren't a thing, and Google Earth wasn't. Now, Google Earth, we would have captured differences. In Google Earth, you can do some great stuff. With the satellite mapping we have access to that the public doesn't, military level stuff. You can see trends of
you got the military Google Earth.
We get some help.
Okay.
We get some help from all the right people in counter drug. We had one of the things that's really cool, being in the Bay Area, we had Moffett Field right up the road, and we had the 129th Air Force, Aero Wing Squadron, the Payhawk Blackhawk teams, that when they're not deployed fighting the GWAT, the Global War on Terror, they're back for counter drug task force work to work with domestic agencies in California and other states. They can't go run missions themselves, but they can go into the woods and back us up. We use their airships. So we were running, like when we started the marijuana enforcement team's pilot program to prove ourselves, because the chief gave us 3 months, said, all right, we're going to rock the political boat. I'm going to take the political heat. You're going to handpick the right guys, and you're going to have 3 months. And let's see what happens. Document everything you do. You're not going to do any other patrol. You're now that roaming strike team. You're that unit. And we would work with, in Operation Pristine in that 2013 window, Julian, we would have a Payhawk helicopter assigned to us because the military was looking for an operation to do for an entire month of August. Yeah. So we got the Payhawk, we got their ground guys, their crewmen, and I got to work, and they're brothers to this day, 7th Special Forces, Green Berets, in the woods with us on that Santa Cruz mission with the gunfight and the canine bite, all there in Assel Alley. There we are with 7th Special Forces helping us out, and our PJs with a helicopter on standby. But
Alessi, how did you miss this your whole life? You're laughing over here like Santa Cruz is a fucking war zone, bro.
Dude, that's crazy.
Alessi, I wish...
Just because of the fact that Santa Cruz, if you go there, it's a surfing hippie town.
Yeah,
It's
he's
a
like the nicest guy. Look at him.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you just think of stoners, surfers, like everyone's chill. And
Exactly.
in the redwoods, there's just
Yeah,
this
and
operation.
Alessi, if you just look up Highway 17, right?
Yeah.
You know that spot, and you look at all those mountains up there, even growing up there, bro, and hiking all around there and spending a ton of time in Santa Cruz, I would have to be a game warden and then get diverted into this cartel fight on the cannabis to even realize some of these things. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So nuts.
And this Soquel Creek, all that watershed down to the
That's
coast.
right by where I live.
Right. Yeah. And you didn't know.
Alessi's like, wait, those were cocaine traffickers? I thought they were the gardeners.
They were the gardeners. You didn't know that was your big steelhead run right there in Soquel Creek. One of the last good ones on the West Coast was right there being impacted by these assholes the whole time. Yeah, I mean, probably going back to the early 2000s, if late 90s, before we even stumbled on this, man.
Yeah, fucking Cartel Cruz over here. Wow.
Yeah, so that was an eye opener, and finding it and going in and realizing, hey, if this is in the in eyeshot of Stanford now, and we'd had a gunfight in eyeshot of the Silicon Valley tech capital and the biggest companies, these guys are bold. They're anywhere, and keep in mind, we still had the felony statute then. So, and we were working them hard, but to your point, you had a really good question, Julian. I don't want to lose that and all this other good stuff. If we could fly 24/7 or be up on all daylight hours, great. We would find a lot more. We would have found that grow. Yeah. We just can't. I mean, to get a ship up a couple times a week, because one airship isn't just for that. It's for every different SWAT operation, night operations, tracking stolen vehicles or chasing people down. Those birds we were having to use from Sheriff's Office, San Jose Police, CHP. And then when we have a military bird, they're a lot to operate. So you're lucky to get a Payhawk, a couple times a month, unless you're on a dedicated operation. So, and they know that. It's just an attrition thing. And we found a lot. But they also know we can't be out there 24/7, and we didn't know how overproduced we were and how many were going on. We were, in those days from 04, I'm going to say till about 2010, 25 to 30 legitimate, massive cartel complexes in Santa Clara County.
In one county.
In just my home county, in one county. Not counting Santa Cruz, just go over the hill and find another 20 or more.
This would never happen in Jersey. I just want to put that out there.
No, it never
It
happened.
would never happen in Jersey.
Yeah.
We don't let that shit here.
Yeah. I don't want that shit here either.
But that first one though, where you're with your biologist friend
Yeah.
and you see the two guys and then they walk by and
Yeah.
like, you go back to base, like,
Oh man.
what are you like? Boy, do I have a story for you? Like,
Well,
what happens?
There was a lot to that, because we're gonna go straight up this mountain and it's a grind. We're just gonna power out of there as fast as possible, in pretty good shape, but getting our asses kicked. One, to get distance, because I got to start processing who I'm going to call, and I got to get in comms and talk to some people. My administrator first, my lieutenant at the time, my boss, and then start talking to other agencies. And it took about a good 45 minutes to an hour, going double time, killing ourselves up that mountain. And I looked at GI and he looked at me and he goes, "Your wheels are spinning. What's next?" I go, "I think our shift just changed, at least on this. I'm sure I'm going to be involved in some level, but dude, I don't know. I got to talk to the narcotics task force guys. I know some of them. We've never done anything together. We're game wardens. They're doing white dope stuff. They're doing some marijuana I've heard about. We're not part of that." But the best relationships of what I would consider the best part of my career, the second half, that I think the most relevant, at least for me personally, and the men and women that worked in that realm of special operations, that one mission built the bonds, right? Because when this task force came to run this operation, and there I am and another game warden, we're going to be the bird dogs and take them down the same trail, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going to say, "Okay, just get to the back of the line. We got this." Fine, I get it. You got that notion of who we are, and I don't know what you do yet, so it's cool. We're going to do it safe, and it's professional courtesy. And then, but I would meet guys like Call Sign Snake, Apache, Ranger, all these guys that were sheriff snipers from the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office that came to that mission as guests, and they weren't primary. They were brought in by the task force, and we would end up by the end of the day looking at each other and going, "Would you have done it that way? No. Would you have done it that way? No." We gave chase to two guys, and nobody wanted to chase them. I could have run them down. I think you could have run them down. You look like you're in really good shape, so and so. Yeah. And then I was told, "Hey, we have a marijuana eradication team. It's just 2 lead officers we borrow. We'd like to work with you. What do you think?" And I went, "Yeah, let's do this."
Sheriff's office.
So the guys I met that day in 2004 were the same guys that were on the hill when we had the shooting in 2005 when my partner was shot near fatally.
Yes.
And that day, because they were so wired right, and one of them's from Pennsylvania. A lot of guys are from back east hunting deer, and they have big outdoor backgrounds, military veterans that had fought in Beirut, had fought in the global war on terror. Mike Deigo, God rest his soul, who passed away way too early just a couple years ago. Apache, he was one of their lead snipers. He was just tickled. And I met him for the first day of that shootout in 2005, and he saw this M14 I had. He went, "Is that a real military M14? Game warden? How do you even get those?"
I was unfamiliar with your game.
He goes, "I didn't know what you guys were about." And, friends for life, man, brothers. But we would form that bridge that after this first mission went not the way we wanted it to, we just became an informal team.
Wow.
And we started developing tactics to chase down bad guys before we had dogs. Light runners, I would be one of them. My fellow marathoners, would strip down to just light armor, a light Camelback, handgun, taser only, have riflemen supporting us. And if these guys get close enough and they start to run and we can do it safely and not get in a gunfight, we're going to tackle them, take them down. And then that got pretty hairy. And then, we had a couple of real close calls where there were guys that had guns that we were about to launch and jump and run on. And all of a sudden the shotgun comes out and the gun plays on all around us. Yeah. It's rifle on rifle, and like, ooh, that was close. And then dogs changed the game, which the books go into. Canine Phoebe, who's passed now, was a Belgian Malinois, same type of dog SEAL teams use.
When did they come in, the dogs?
She started really popping in and working with her handler, Lieutenant Boyd, old Rumble, as he's called in the book, up in Shasta County, 06, 07.
Watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.